Myles, of course, is watching the AMC CEO's appearance on a YouTube channel where he basically made the case again to investors that they should be buying the shares. In the past few days, we have seen people selling the shares. The shares are going down again this morning in pre-market trading. This has been, as we know, a wild week for AMC in particular. It has really set itself apart from the other meme stocks by being most explicit about its memeness and most cognizant of its meanness and, taking advantage of it more than we have seen any other company that we've put sort of in this category, or we haven't put in this category. I guess you could argue Redditors have put them in this category. Myles, what stood out to you from his comments there that he made on that YouTube channel?
I mean, I think it's just his presence, right? And AMC CEO Adam Aron is clearly taking a page out of Elon Musk's playbook, and that page says, go to the people. So he goes on Trey's Trades, which is a YouTube channel, has about 300,000 subscribers. So certainly a large audience. It's not like he went on, with some person who doesn't really have any kind of following. I mean, this is someone who has a lot of people listening to what they say and their view on how to trade this market. So Aron goes on there and basically explains why AMC went out and issued its stock and talks about why, he still supports individual shareholders. Now, just the two pieces of news, and there has been, kind of two stories, dual tracking stories. On the one hand, there's the meme nature of the story, and I think that has many interpretations to it. Then there's the news that AMC has announced this week. It started with Tuesday's capital raise, then Wednesday's announcement about the Investor Connect website, then yesterday's capital raise, and then last night, after the close, they filed their prospectus for the annual shareholder meeting, which is set to take place later this month. And they recommend that shareholders approve or vote in favor of a proposal to allow AMC to potentially issue up to an additional 25 million shares. Now, the company says explicitly in this document, and they say it more plainly in the prospectus last night than they do in the SEC filing yesterday, which caused quite a bit of confusion among the AMC community and led so many of them to tell me that I was wrong when in fact they were wrong. But they say explicitly, we don't have to issue these 25 million shares, and we can't issue them until 2022 anyway, but they just are asking shareholders to give the company, allow them to reserve the right to issue additional stock if they so choose, because they are essentially, I think they might have 10 million shares left, but they're essentially at the limit of how many shares their current bylaws allow AMC to have outstanding. I think, 524 some odd million is the amount of shares that AMC's, bylaws allow them to have in terms of common equity. And right now, I think they're in the 512 million range, something like that. So they're looking for an additional 25 million. But ultimately, my takeaway from the way that Aron has played this week, Sozzi, is that he sees the market as a place, and this is the media landscape as well, and he's right about this. You go to the people. You don't wait for Yahoo Finance to explain what you're doing. You don't go on CNBC to talk about what you're doing. You go on YouTube and you tell the traders who are on Reddit, who are actually trading your stock and actually moving your stock and getting in the mix with the big hedge funds who are no doubt involved in this as well. You go to those people and tell your story. You don't wait for, some financial pundit to go out and explain what you're doing. You just go right to the people. And I don't think this is in any way, shape, or form the last CEO who's going to start to really lean into this tactic, which, again, I think has been pioneered by Musk here in the last decade.
I was just thinking, can you imagine IBM CEO or GE CEO hopping on YouTube and taking questions from some YouTuber wearing really big Beats headphones? But they should. Hang with me here. They should. And this brings me to my point. Yeah. I think I've been critical of Aron throughout the whole week. Don't get me wrong. But I think this is a big experiment by him that other management teams should start to consider on lending an olive branch, communicating to these new crowds of retail investors. These people are here, and historically, to your point, executives could absolutely have cared less about retail investors. Look at these earnings calls. They're absolutely dreadful. I love stock analysts. I was a former stock analyst, but the questions these guys are asking to executives on the calls are absolutely absurd. A lot of people don't even understand what the heck they're talking about. They're just designed so the analysts could put new numbers inside of their spreadsheet. So I would encourage corporate America not necessarily laugh at an Adam Aron today, at least in terms of this YouTube video. Start to reconsider how you should be communicating better to all of your investors, not just the 15 or 20 sell-side analysts to hop onto an earnings call that the retail investor can't even get on. It's time to innovate how companies communicate with the next generation of traders.
I mean, Sozzi, I could not agree more. And the thing, when you mentioned GE, the reason I was thinking about jumping in is Jeff Immelt might still have a job if he had gone about communicating how he was thinking about the business differently. Now, granted, there's a lot of other issues that happened at GE, but GE fit so many of the profiles that have been popular among meme trades recently, the most significant of which is the per share price, not the value of the company, but the per share price was low. That has clearly been a factor in the names that retail investors glom onto. I mean, per share price is a factor that you can screen for and that quantitative investors will try to bet on. Size factor is a thing that is played as a momentum, or not as a momentum, as a factor, again, in a quant screen. So this is something that retail absolutely plays in. And if you were the GE CEO at $6 a share after having been at 45, maybe you could have memed your stock. And I don't think that AMC executing this turnaround. Look at what happened with Hertz. They could have been AMC, right? And I think in many ways, Hertz management wishes they were AMC at this point. Instead, they're in bankruptcy court right now. And AMC has essentially shown other businesses that when you get into this position, here's an option.
I mean, the SEC wouldn't let Hertz be AMC, to be clear. They tried to sell more shares. And I mean, they couldn't be AMC in that sense, at least, because the SEC blocked their attempt to sell more shares when they were in bankruptcy. I don't know, guys. I don't disagree that companies need to be more accessible. Do I think a lot of traditional corporate CEOs can be Elon Musk or be Adam Aron's? I don't disagree that maybe it should happen more, but I don't think it will, just because, I don't know. I think people are pretty stuck in their ways, for good and for ill.